Hey there, it's Derek here from Pacific Coast Auto in Japan, and we're looking at a Honda Acty van. This one here is a rear-wheel drive, so not the four-wheel drive version. Comes from 1991 with just 46,000 original kilometers. That is super old. That's a 33-year-old vehicle, 46,000 kilometers, barely 1,000 kilometers per year. And it is authentic mileage in this case. Even though the mileage here, the odometer shows a 5-digit, which could roll over. The tires on it are the original tires. They're marked for 1991. They still have some tread on them. Now, they're not going to be safe, but it is very cool to see the original tires. These tires are, wow, 30-something years old. It's really remarkable. Now, the Acty van has a mid-mounted, mid-rear engine layout. So the engine is in there. I can't really open it. It's underneath the carpet inside there. And then the cover's bolted on, but the engine runs well. The exhaust, you can see, has no drama, no weird colors, no weird smells or anything. There is a little bit of a sound, maybe from a belt or maybe from one of the bearings and you're spinning things like the AC, power steering, or something like that. Have a listen. And actually you can't hear it anymore, so never mind, it doesn't have a sound. On cold startup it did, which leads me to believe that it is probably a belt. Okay, for the rest of the review, we're going to be turning the engine off. And yeah, this car was bought from auction for a customer. It's not for sale. And then this one's going to go over to the USA. Keep in mind, the USA, some states don't want K trucks there anymore. K vans are okay in some states that have banned the K trucks. You're going to want to check into it first. For the US, you can import anything that's 25 years old, but you can't necessarily register it in certain states. Okay, so the auction sheet says it's a 1991 Acty van SDX Auctioneer 3, interior and exterior C, so it's kind of a lower grade vehicle, and you'll see why. The body has some pretty serious damage on it, but once that's fixed, you'll get a very low mileage car. It feels very low mileage too. The engine feels great, shifting feels great, brakes feel great. It does feel like a low mileage car as well. So the sales point here says authentic mileage 46,700. Windshield rock chip. Usually rock chips are hard to find. If you've watched a lot of our videos, then you'll know that I don't really check rock chips because they're kind of useless to check. It's going to be like 0.5 millimeter usually to 1 millimeter in damage, and not all the way through the windshield, so it doesn't need to be repaired. So interior dirty, and the seat has a hole in it. There's also some cigarette burns that weren't caught, but most of them are either hard to find or they're in the back seat, which is not usually where you're checking for cigarette burns. I'll show you in the review here. And then door mirror and wheel covers scratched and cracked for the wheel covers. You can have a look here. And it's not common for these K vans to have wheel covers. It's pretty often that they just have steel wheels on them without caps. But they're a 12-inch. You can get some caps if you can find some in 12-inch. Or you can order them here in Japan and we can install them if you really want. Various scratches and dents, underside surface rust and scratch. It's actually a really clean underside. I don't have any concerns with that. And then the bed area dirty and scratched. Actually, the whole interior is fairly dusty and dirty. You can kind of see through the dashboard there. And needs a good vacuuming and proper detailing, and it's going to be really lovely. Body here has A2 on the front bumper, AU3 over here in 2 areas, and an AU2 over here. It also says U2 on the roof, but the roof is up high enough that you don't really get to see it. And if any of those letters, any of those markings don't make sense, there's something on our website that explains what all of those mean. And so I'll show you those damages just after I do the once around, so you can see this Honda Acty from all different angles. I really like the Acty's face. I do like the circular headlights that you get on the earlier Actys, but I do also like this. It's very 80s look, even though this is 1991. I suspect it was like 88 or something that changed into this one. And also, being somebody like me that was born in 1982, a lot of stuff in the 90s still looked 80s. And so, just if you say 90s, everyone's going to think of like the color teal and weird 90s triangles on all of their prints. Yeah. Okay, the JDM tree has gotten a little bit overgrown. I have adored this tree for a while, and now it's starting to get on my nerves. This is a K van. It's really small to shoot, so you can fit it all in frame. can't fit all of the other cars in frame, especially if they're the big ones. So just follow around here, walk into the vegetables, or the vegetation, I guess. You wouldn't eat these. Okay, good. And yeah, these K-vans, they're teeny tiny. Like, hard to explain how small it is unless you put it next to something else. Just a tiny little van. So also obviously good on fuel. They're fairly reliable. I mean, they are old, so don't get me wrong. A 25-year-old vehicle is going to need some maintenance. But generally speaking, the core of these, they're simple and they're reliable. Okay, so let's look at some of the damages. The front bumper's at A2. So here's your A2. Right there. Generally, the rest of the bumper is all good, and there's no cracks in the marker lenses or in the headlights or in your other marker lens. You get a little badge here that says Twin Cam 24, which is pretty cool to see. A lot of these K engines are 24 valves, so they're a 3-cylinder and then 4 valves per cylinder. And so 3 times 4 is 16. How do we get a 20? 4 times 4 is 16. 3 times 4 is 12. So usually this would be a 12-cylinder. So somebody just put a badge on there, I guess. Here's proof that Derek didn't pass math class. Yeah, weird. I wonder why they put that on there. A 24 valve would be a, let's see, a 6-cylinder. Be pretty crazy if a 6-cylinder actually were in here. And yeah, the engine is the original 660cc. There wasn't a secret V6 put into this. Okay, coming down the side here. Sun fade on the mirrors, and then some scratches on them as well. Once these get old, they get a little bit brittle, and there is a little bit of a, like, oh, that's not a crack. It looks like a crack, but it isn't one. So yeah, the body needs some work. There's a scuff here, and some little scuffs down here, including some surface rust on that one there. The biggest damage is this right here. You can see a huge dent in this area, including some rust where it wasn't touched up after it was dented. And it's bad. So that's all going to need to be repaired. I wouldn't want to drive this around until then. A little bit of extra damage right there. Got a little dent there. And some dents up here. We also got a scratch up there. The back bumper's in pretty good condition with just a few little nicks. Just like the front bumper, these are unpainted, and so they're prone to fading. But when they scratch, you don't get to see the scratch too much, right? If it were a painted bumper, you could see the black come through underneath, and so it's nice to have those as an unpainted bumper. A little bit of a dent here. And then we have the AU2 on this side, which is right here, and it's also fairly significant. You can also see some yellow paint has transferred onto it, and I suspect that doesn't come from a car. So some sort of like a guard wall that's painted yellow, painted yellow, like, make sure you see this or you're going to crash into it. The previous owner just crashed into it. A little bit of a scratch there, but it's a deep one. Some small scuff here. Okay. And a stink bug. Get off my car. It's not my car. Get off this car. And this one, likewise, some fade on the mirror over here. Okay, why don't we have a look at the interior? And all K vehicles are registered to be a maximum of 4-seater. And so while there are some versions like the Subaru Sambar Domingo has a 3rd row, it's not classified as a K vehicle. So yeah, you can get a 6-seater or a 7-seater in some K vehicles if you go with the ones that you can't register as a K vehicle. Just a little heads up, like, you get super cheap taxes on any vehicle that fits into K standards. So the max engine size is 660cc, max horsepower 64, and has max width and length to be itty bitty, and then yeah, max 4 seats. And road registration here in Japan is fairly pricey, so K class is very popular. Okay, so this one needs to be cleaned, but it looks like it's in fairly good condition with just a little bit of a minor rip there. And it is just a thin vinyl, so you can replace with whatever you want if you needed to. K-Van, customizing one. What a great idea, I must say. You can flip this seat forward, and then it can actually go underneath the front seats a little bit. So this back vinyl there can be completely level with the rest of it here. K-Vans are often used as cargo vehicles, and that's what that bar is, actually. The bar flips up and prevents any boxes from sliding forward past that point in the seat. Okay, close this down. Oh, and before we do that, this bar also protects the window so that if you have boxes stacked up in here, it's not going to slide sideways and smash your window out. It's meant to brace it so that that doesn't happen. You'll find that on a lot of like van class vehicles here, including the Suzuki Jimny has it. They put a upside down safety drive sticker on there, probably to cover some of the scratches right here. 12 valve 660. Prove me that I suck at math. Okay, so you get a sliding door on both sides. I only tried opening this one, not the one on the other side. But take a look. There's, you see that? There's like a scratch on the window from where they've hit something, and it continues back there. Okay, fabrics here are not really fabrics, they're vinyls, but they're pretty dirty. You're probably going to want to use some OxyClean or something like that on them to brighten them up. They're supposed to be kind of a lighter gray color, but they've kind of gotten dirty. Okay, plenty of leg room actually. Sitting in here as a passenger, you can be pretty big and it'll be no problem. But driver is a little bit of a different story. I'm 5'10". I find it a little tight, but certainly doable. If you're taller than that or larger around than I am, you might have a little bit of troubles, or it might just be tight for you. It might be worth it. 1, 2, 3 cigarette burns right, right there. Excuse me. And yeah, the carpet, very dusty. Oil and coolant are both fine. And your dipstick's right here, just in case you're wondering. You screw it out like a lawnmower. Okay, let's check this door. Yeah, despite this door being damaged, it opens and closes fine. Okay, on to the front part. This is a 5-speed manual. You can get the K-Trucks in automatic, but most of them are manuals. And you can see the driver's seat is dirtied quite a bit. And so this is pretty common on these K-Trucks. They are used for working. They're often used right on the job site. Sometimes they don't even register them for the road, or they barely ever drive them on the road because they just get used on the job site for moving things around. That's more so the case with the K-Trucks, but certainly the K-Vans, it's pretty popular for that to be the case as well. So no power steering, which is generally fine. It's a very light vehicle. And a little bit of wear on the steering wheel. Seat has a hole in it here. I suspect it's from cigarettes. And then they put this extra pad here to make it a little bit harder to wear out, but it doesn't seem to help. These seats are commonly ripped. If you've thought about buying K-Trucks, make sure that you look at the seats. They rip right here at the seam. This one here hasn't ripped, so it's one of the rare ones. Okay, super dirty seat floor mat, but you get double floor mats. So this one they spec'd out with the optional extra floor mat, the original rubber one and then the optional fabric one. It's Yope AC. Look. Not sure what that means, but yeah, some of your AC parts are in the cabin. It's kind of wild because there's nothing there, right? Okay, heading in here. AC works, has an AM radio. Previous cigarettes, and there's still a little bit left on them, so if you want to enjoy a Japanese smoke, then you can. Actually, I don't know if they're Japanese brand. They might be the exact same as outside of Japan. But what am I saying? I don't recommend that you smoke someone else's used cigarettes. Some Velcro that's been attached on there. Needs a good cleaning. There's another cigarette burn there, and another one right here that's melted the plastic a little bit. Okay, and it looks like there's some mold, but there's no smell of mold inside the car. So perhaps that's just dead mold that needs to be bleached off of there. Okay, so I guess we've spoken about this one enough. I'm pretty sure that if you have any other questions, you can send us an email. Not I'm pretty sure, I know that. You can send us an email, we'll answer questions. It is not a 24 valve twin cam. It is a twin cam, just not 24 valves. Wow, if it were 24 valves, it would have to be 8 valves per cylinder. That would be so crazy. Okay, that's all for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much, and have a nice day.